Hey everyone, Daniel Leslie back for another video, this time about Disney Cruise Line and how to get the best price possible.
I am in full-on cruise mode. We leave soon for our next cruise. I'm already dreaming about the next one after that, and the next one after that, and the next one after that.
We probably don't actually have the next one after that planned. So actually here in a few weeks we are boarding the Fantasy for the inaugural sailing to Lighthouse Point. Assuming it opens on time, we should be stopping at Lighthouse Point twice and Castaway Cay once. I have been looking forward to this cruise for quite some time.
Very, very excited. Anyway, that led us to wanting to talk about how to get the best bang for your buck when booking a Disney cruise.
We did an in-depth podcast about this very topic several weeks ago. Check that out if you want some detailed pricing. We're not gonna go into examples of pricing just because we don't have time on this video. We try to keep these a little bit more reasonable in length. But we are gonna talk a little bit about how Disney Cruise Line comes up with their pricing so that you understand when we get into talking more about how to really narrow down, if you find a Disney cruise that's a little too expensive, or maybe you could splurge a little bit more, exactly how to figure out what is going to impact that price most.
All right, before we get into all of that, the very first thing you should do is to book with a travel agent that specializes in Disney vacations. So if you are looking to book your next magical vacation, please reach out to us over at Fantastical Vacations. We plan Disney destinations, Universal Cruise Lines, and all-inclusive resorts.
And very important to note, if you do book with Fantastical Vacations aboard Disney Cruise Line, as a thank you from Leslie and me and all of the wonderful agents over there, you will receive an onboard credit just for booking with us. So we can get you the exact same price as if you book directly with Disney Cruise Line. We can give you all of our knowledge and expertise, and then you'll also get an onboard credit on top of all of that too.
First thing that you got to think about is, where does the ship go? Because that is going to be the thing that impacts pricing, whether or not you're going to the Bahamas or the Caribbean, or if you're going to Alaska or Northern Europe or a transatlantic, whatever it might be.
Tip number one is look at supply and demand. This is how Disney Cruise Line prices all of their cruises. So if you have a full year of itineraries going to a certain destination, like Bahamian and Caribbean cruises, those sail every week out of Florida all year long, versus a very short sailing season. So Europe, Alaska is only a few months long. So the supply is much shorter, much smaller when compared to the demand. So those are gonna be more expensive.
Yes, especially those really specialty cruises that only happen one time in a year.
Like the inaugural Lighthouse Point sailing.
Yes.
Next thing to understand is what Disney prices into the cost of their cruise. So unlike going to Disney World, if you're just booking a Disney resort and then adding on tickets to that, that is not inclusive of food and beverages and service outside of your resort. What Disney Cruise Line includes is almost everything. So unless you're talking about port excursions or adult beverages, maybe like a tasting or bippity boppity boutique, some of those specialty add-ons like a massage, everything else is included in the cost of the cruise. So initially, if you look at a Disney Cruise Line, it is going to look a little more expensive than other vacations, but when you put in all of your food and activities aboard the ship, it starts to make a little bit more sense whenever you look at it as more of an all-inclusive trip.
Yeah, and quite honestly, if you stick with a Bahamian or Caribbean sailing, a lot of times people will ask, what all should I add on? And those first few sailings for us, we didn't really add anything on, and we had a great time just enjoying the ship and everything it had to offer.
Next thing to look at is the ship itself. So again, going back to supply and demand, the newest ships are going to be the most high in demand. So those are going to come with a premium. So if you want to sail on one of the oldest Disney Cruise Line ships like the Magic or the Wonder, or even the bigger older ships like the Fantasy and the Dream, you're going to be able to find longer sailings for a little bit cheaper cost. So you might be able to get a whole extra day included in one of those older ships as compared to one of the newer ships like the Disney Wish or the soon-to-be Treasure, or some of the ships that are coming out even after those.
All right, and that is actually our first tip in how to get the most bang for your buck, is picking the right ship. Our next tip is picking the right time to go.
There are seasons in cruising, and if you think about it, as when the most people are going to want to sail, go back to supply and demand, that will tell you when the cheapest times to go are. So if you think about when kids are out of school, Disney Cruise Line being a family cruise line, so summer is going to be the absolute most popular to sail on Disney Cruise Line, especially out of Florida. Then you start looking at holidays and times off like spring break, over Christmas, Thanksgiving is a very popular one. Those are gonna be the most expensive times to cruise. Then from there, you can look at shoulder seasons. So for instance, if you wanna cruise Alaska, if you go the first couple of sailings or the last couple of sailings in a given season, those are gonna be cheaper than the middle of the season themselves. If you come to Florida and you wanna sail like maybe February, late January, those are gonna be cheaper, obviously, than summer. And then from there, the cheapest possible cruises are going to be during hurricane season out of Florida. So if you wanna sail like straight up end of August into most of September, you can get some pretty good deals sailing out of Florida during hurricane season.
But don't let it scare you off, because those are great sailings to hop on. The ships are pretty good about moving around the storms, but as long as you're flexible in that you might end up missing a port or something like that, then it's a great option. All right, so the next one is picking the right destination. And we kind of already touched on this a little bit, but if you're looking at those Bahamian or Caribbean sailings that are available in plethora throughout the year, or coming out of Fort Lauderdale or Port Canaveral where DCL has their dedicated ports, you're gonna probably end up being able to maximize your dollar a lot better than if you're wanting to go out of Alaska or the Northern Europe or Hawaii, something like that.
Next tip is to look at your length of sailing. Obviously, because it's an all-inclusive vacation where all of your meals and entertainment is included in the cost of the cruise, they are going to charge you more the longer that you sail. So a 7-night sailing is gonna be longer than a 3-night sailing. However, it's not quite that easy because you can maybe get a 5-night sailing on a little bit older ship for about the same price as like a 3 or 4-night sailing on one of the newest ships. But look at the length of sailing, and if you are thinking about maybe doing an extra day or maybe doing a week instead of a 4-day, look at the cost, and if it's exorbitantly too high, then just maybe adjust your length of sailing. Here's a tip, and here's what we suggest for newcomers to Disney Cruise Line that have never sailed before, or at least never sailed Disney Cruise Line before. Look at the 4-night sailings. 3 nights, definitely 2 nights. Those feel really, really short. We have done plenty of 3 nights, and by the time you get on the ship and learn your way around the ship, you're getting off the ship.
Yeah.
So we feel like you need at least 4 nights to get your bearings about you and really start to enjoy the vacation. But really longer than 5 nights, if you've never sailed before, could be too long if you don't know if you get seasick or not, or if you don't even know if you like cruising. So look at the 4 or 5 nights. That'll also be a good mid-range in cost.
All right, the next tip in maximizing your dollar is going to be choosing the right stateroom. So the ones that are highest in demand, midship, higher level of the ship, are going to be more expensive than the ones that are all the way forward or all the way aft or maybe at the bottom of the ship. So definitely keep that in mind whenever you are booking your vacation. If you have a big concern of being seasick or having any issues with that, then I would recommend that midship kind of. We always go lower, so maybe not necessarily deck 2, but definitely around deck 6 or 7. But if you aren't concerned about that, then you could save some money by going in one of those other areas.
Also, the amenities of the room themselves. Obviously, an interior stateroom with no view of the ocean whatsoever is going to be less expensive than an ocean view or a veranda, or a concierge stateroom, which has suites and a lot higher service and amenities than these other staterooms. However, you can sometimes get one of those nicer views for a little bit better cost. So maybe you look at a navigator's veranda, which doesn't have the wide open view with the glass railing. It still allows you to go out on a veranda and see the ocean, even though it's a little bit obstructed by like steel walls. That may be like a trick to get a better view for a little bit less of a cost.
And pro tip, if you are wanting midship, you might look at aft or forward and see if you can get the category that you're looking for just close to midship, because sometimes it'll be that next room and it's a couple $100 cheaper.
Okay, next thing to look at is your travel party. It is going to be per person more expensive the fewer people you have in a stateroom. So Guests 1 and 2 are gonna be the most expensive guests. So if you have a 2-adult stateroom, they are gonna be the same cost. But if you had a 3rd adult, that adult is going to be a lot cheaper. So if you can fit a family of 4 or 5 in a stateroom, guests 3, 4, and 5, whether they're adults or kids, they're going to be a lot less expensive per person than the first 2 guests.
The next tip is to understand the logistics to getting to the port. So if you are coming into Florida and going to Port Canaveral, it's probably not going to be as expensive, depending on where you're coming from, I suppose, than if you're having to fly all the way to Europe or fly to Vancouver to get on an Alaskan sailing. So keep that in mind as well.
Yeah, sometimes Disney will understand this and they know if airfare is super expensive during a summer, they might start to discount their European sailings if they know that there's not a lot of like Americans wanting to fly to Europe and sail on a Disney Cruise Line ship over there. But once you start looking at flights, that more than makes up for the discount, and you could have probably gotten a much cheaper cruise just sailing out of Florida here domestically.
Yeah. All right, and I think this is probably one of the biggest and best tips is timing your booking. I'm telling you, it is always better to book early. As people say, the early bird does get the worm in most cases here. And what you can do is you can continue to watch the prices, but Disney in particular does not usually offer any promotions. They don't usually put out promotions. Every once in a while they might, and which could be applied to your cruise later. But most of the time, the only thing they do is as you get closer and things are selling out, they might offer a guaranteed stateroom or a guaranteed with restrictions stateroom, and those might be a little less expensive.
The most popular promotion that Disney offers to just anyone is a discount on the deposit. It doesn't mean the cruise is any cheaper, so if you have half off deposits, that means the cost of the cruise is still the same. You will still eventually pay the same amount when there wasn't a promotion, just to reserve that room, put it on hold, and make it an active reservation. Instead of paying a 20% deposit, you're now paying a 10% deposit up front, and you have a little bit longer to pay out that rest of the 90%. So it's not really a discount, it is a promotion on the initial amount that you have to put out. There are promotions that they do put out for certain groups of people though that run a lot. Military is a big one. They will run military discounts. The problem with the military discount is they only offer those to the rooms that they are having a hard time selling, and they won't know that until much closer to the sailing itself. So if you want a military discount, you've got to be okay with waiting, potentially not going on the sailing that you wanted to go on, and booking more last minute, like within probably 3 months of the sailing.
And same with Florida resident discounts. And so if you're looking at one of those discounts, the other thing is that it's not widespread across the entire ship. And so they can go really fast. So if you see a discount, definitely it's better to book earlier rather than later, because those discounts will run out eventually.
And the last discount Leslie just mentioned is the guaranteed and guaranteed with restrictions. So these are 2 different categories. They're pretty different actually in how they operate. Again, there's no guaranteed that any of these guaranteed rooms are going to be offered on any sailing. They only offer them when they're having a hard time moving a certain category on a sailing, or maybe the inventory is so low that the rooms that haven't been chosen are just not really that desirable. So they're gonna put it out there like, hey, book this category. We'll guarantee that you're gonna be in one of these category of rooms like ocean view or veranda room. And it's not until you actually get on the ship that you figure out that maybe it wasn't the room that you wanted, like the location, or but you'll get a little bit of a discount. The best discount on those 2 types of room is the guaranteed with restrictions room. The problem here is that you have to pay the room in full at the time of booking, regardless of when that is, and it is not refundable at all. So once you pay that room, the entire 100% of that is within penalty. So if you have to cancel, that's it.
Yeah. And then finally, occasionally Disney will offer up maybe like a Disney Plus promo or something like that. Those are very few and far between. So definitely don't wait on booking your cruise, waiting for something like that to be released. Definitely book what you're comfortable booking, and not just depend on a discount.
So that is how Disney Cruise Line comes up with their pricing and the major things that will impact the pricing of your Disney cruise, along with some of our best tips on how to get the best price for your Disney Cruise Line vacation.
So when are you sailing next? Because Mine's coming up real soon. All right, if you are liking these videos, please hit that like and subscribe button so you don't miss the next one.
And we will see you on the next video.